Australian bushfire crisis. Attention while we appreciate all the good intentions, please note that we cannot allow links to social media pages as a comment. Per Rule 4. https www.reddit.com/r/askreddit/wiki_-rule_4-. If you have suggestions for links to charitable organizations to add to the original post, please message the mods. https www.reddit.com/message/compose2 = and we will do our due diligence to add any valuable content to this post. I live in the Blue Mountains, which is west of Sydney. The Blue Mountains, if you didn't know, is part of the Great Dividing Range and thus a national park. We are quite literally surrounded by fires from the north to the south. At any moment the wind could change and could wipe out potentially hundreds of homes, mine included. We have never seen anything this big before. Fires are normal for us, but this scale of fires is absolutely insane. However, I want to thank the rest of the world got their generosity at this times. It is truly heartwarming to see so many people give support from all corners of the globe. Peace be with you, and I hope the rain heads our way. Remember, the firefighters that are fighting the bushfires aren't full-time firefighters. They have jobs like accountants, etc., and do this as volunteers. They use up their annual leave to fight the fires, or if they have understanding boss, leave without pay. I tip my hat to anyone that does this. Let's not forget the 1.25 billion plus. Yes, billion. https://www.wwf.org.au/get-involved/bushfire-emergency. Animals that have been killed, and the growing more that are injured and losing their habitat. As an Australian, the scariest part of these fires is when it's so hot and out of control. It creates its own weather system, including fire tornadoes, huge fire blasts and lightning strikes. We have bushfires every year that we have been evacuated for, but never like this. So much of our wildlife and heritage listed bush is destroyed. My family leaves water out, and we are constantly finding animals like echidnas and possums drinking from it. The moment we all knew it was bad was when 4,000 people were stranded on a tiny beach while these fires so quickly took over the towns, and the only way to escape was into the ocean. The international support has been insane, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. There is a lot going on in the world, and it's nice to know people can come together in times like these for complete strangers. Removed. I hope this isn't a stupid question or ignorant, but how did these start? Do we know? As a Californian, I thought our wildfires are bad, but this is nothing compared to Australia. It's the most apocalyptic thing I've seen. The international support during these fires has been fantastic, and I'd like to send out my thanks to those who have contributed in any way. It means so much. The air quality has been getting worse in my town these past few days, and the fires have been escalating. Lots of burnt leaves and bark falling this month. It's definitely concerning. I would just like a second to remind all Australian Reddit users to do a basic vehicle checklist to make sure you have the best chance of making it out if you need to evacuate. You can do 90% of these things right now. 1. Please make sure you have at least a half tank of fuel in your tank at all times. 2. Keep at least 4 liters of water in a container in your car at all times. 3. Please make sure you check coolant level in your radiator if possible. The coolant level should be at most a couple centimeters below the coolant fill neck. If your coolant level is low, and you don't have pre-mixed coolant on hand, you can use tap hose water in an emergency. 4. Please check tire pressure levels and filter recommended pressure. This can usually be found on the sill of your car door or in your vehicle user manual. You can refill tires at most petrol stations. 5. Make sure your washer fluid is full. This will help with ash and debris in an emergency situation. 6. Check headlights, blinkers, and taillights and replace any blown bulbs if possible. 7. Make sure all your windows on your vehicle are clean. Remove bird droppings, mud, etc. You want as much visibility in a heavy smoke condition as possible. 8. Make sure all your mirrors are as clean as possible. For the same reason you clean your windows. 9. Make sure window wiper blades work adequately or replace them. Monsieur Super Cheap Auto has wipers for 80% of all common vehicles on the road for relatively cheap. They can fit them for you if this is an issue. 10. Buy jumper cables for your vehicle if possible. This might help you or others if their battery develops issues. 11. Keep a small first aid kit in your car at all times. Just basic. 12. Keep duct tape, sharp knife, razor blades, zip ties, rope, basic Phillips and flathead screwdriver if possible. Generally good things to have in your car. Please don't overlook these. The majority of these things can be done at little to no cost and might save you in an evacuation. Good luck to everybody. Hopefully we see some rain today. Deleted. As an Australian, I want to thank the international community for acknowledging the extent of this crisis and their ongoing support. I'm not directly affected by the fires, but it's amazing to see complete strangers across the world donate to our charities and send firefighters to help us and the animals during this time. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Edit. Thank you for all the comments and support. I agree. Our government should be doing more and it's a shame that we have to resort to asking for help. I hope our government is held accountable. As others have said, many other countries are faced with devastating floods or other disasters due to climate change. Please, let's make an effort to be better and challenge those in power to do better. Climate change is real. We have one planet. Let's take care of it. I'm working in a town that was evacuated, but that we didn't lose a single building. The surrounding towns were hit hard, and we lost power and phone reception for a week. The whole experience was terrifying as we grappled with the predictions for the 4th of January, which if they were right, would have flattened the town. There's going to be a lot of trauma to sift through just based on those experiences alone. But the major threat to the town is the economic implications. Every business here was gearing up for our tourist season, and had stock ready for our biggest week of the year, New Year's. The butcher immediately had to offload a crazy amount of stock just to keep the town fed while we were cut off. Our local pub lost so much in food and revenue. And the story is the same for every restaurant and small business here. These businesses rely on the tourist season to make enough profit to survive winter. And that's just not going to happen this year. Remember what your contributions mean to the local economy. Will donating food mean that people will be spending less at the local shops? There are definitely going to be locations that need your support that way. But those will be evacuation centers. In the coming months, the people here will be looking at how to rebuild long-term and how they're going to survive winter. If you get the chance this year, regardless of season, please visit Bermagui, NSW and the surrounding towns. Come and buy some innocuous crap at the souvenir shops. Buy a stupid amount of meat from the butcher. Eat at the many amazing options we've got. Every town in southeastern NSW is going to be in the same position. Being forced to evacuate all the tourists has put all of these towns on the chopping block. The residents being evacuated sick as well, but doesn't have the same far-reaching implications. Everyone in this town stood up to protect each other. The businesses in town immediately knew the implications of this but they didn't even blink before giving everything they had. I know for a fact that the butcher could have kept the majority of their stock cool using generators and a refrigerated truck, but instead immediately began supplying the town with food to cook on barbecues. While everyone was packed into the town center, the pub and club refused to serve alcohol to not inflame the situation any further. These people could have profited off this event. They could have at least come out of this in a better financial position than they are now. Instead, they did as much as they could, as fast as they could. Please support Southeast New South Wales in the coming years. Bring your families and inject money into our economy directly. Be amazing. My thoughts towards the Australians living this awful event and who can't leave their home because of the air quality. Special thought for the ones who lost someone, their house, or got evacuated. It must feel like a nightmare, and I hope things will go back to normal soon. And #X200B. Lots of love from France. Don't give up, guys. I work around 5 minutes away from the fires, and both my grandparents and my great-grandfather live in areas very close by also. My great-grandfather, who is 92, has been evacuated 3 times, and we're worried that if the fire does properly come through, he might be asleep or choose to ignore the evacuation procedures and stay at home. A fire started at a neighboring property to my work. 3 fire trucks came and attempted to control a pretty decent-sized blaze. It made things so much more real when it's right on your doorstep. My livelihood and my family are in danger here, and it's pretty worrying. The speed at which these fires love mean that one night you may go out to dinner and you might come home to nothing but ashes. My family is on high alert, as well as my employer. I'm not sure how all our lives might change, but even being this worried, we're still the lucky ones, as many are much worse off. These last few months have been pretty scary. Do you think tourism to Australia is helpful or hurtful? I was planning on visiting Australia in June, because I've always wanted to go, and I am thinking they can probably really use the tourism dollars after this disaster. But maybe I should wait longer? Thank you for this. My thoughts go out to everyone in Australia. Same goes for koalas, kangaroos, and all the other animals too. The photos and videos of them being affected are so sad. I used to play video games with this guy from Australia. We have thousands of hours together, and I just got in contact again recently. He lost his house to the fires. It breaks my heart to know how serious the government let the fires get. He lost countless personal, priceless objects, including his Xbox 360 that he spent so much time with me on it. I am just hoping that enough will be done to stop these fires as quickly as possible, so no one else has to go through what my friend had to. If someone has done the research, that'll save me some time. Which of these agencies, or perhaps another, provides the greatest percentage of donations to actual relief assistance? We are in one of the areas bordering one of the larger fires in Victoria. Luckily no lives lost and only minimal property loss where we are. The smoke impact, however, has been extreme at times, and we left for Melbourne last weekend as my wife and kids were both suffering asthma attacks. We came back 2 days later when the smoke had eased a bit. Still at hazardous levels, but smoke levels were looking at being very high for weeks, and we can't stay away that long. Yesterday we evacuated again, this time to an army barracks a short drive away where they had accommodation, and we're happy for people to bring pets with them. We've been put up in a dorm with 4 beds, AC, a bathroom, and even a TV. Much better conditions than we were expecting. There's meals at the mess 3 times a day, a swimming pool and other facilities available for evacuees to use, as it's not an operational base, is a lot more relaxed than we were expecting. Unfortunately, we were hit with a couple of unforeseen events, with a grass fire nearby putting the barracks on alert. This coincided with us losing power, and no backup power other than emergency lighting. The defense personnel are doing an amazing job under difficult circumstances. It's clear that evacuations of this scale aren't something there was already a plan for, but they're doing great under the circumstances. I have expected that by next fire season there will already be plans and processes in place for running defense facilities as relief centers. Hopefully we'll be back home in the next day or two when conditions have improved. Lastly, if you want to help donate funds or volunteer, there's been a deluge of donated items, much more than is immediately needed, which has resulted in resources being diverted to managing this, rather than working on more pressing needs. I used to live in Bateman's Bay and Mogo as a child. On New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, I spent the whole day crying or in a rage. Watching the place I loved burn devastated me. I have trouble remembering bits of my childhood, but I'll always remember living only 5 minutes away from the most beautiful beaches. A bridge I once swam under and now have the permanent scar as a reminder. Our local fish and chips shop where I always picked out the ring lolly. There was this shop I called the Ferry Shop. Keep in mind these coastal areas were quite tourist-y, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's gone now. At least the Mogo Zoo was evacuated. I'm tired and I'm scared and I'm safe, but I know so many others aren't. I'm angry because the bare minimum was not done by state or federal parliament and we've lost so much. Children growing up without their dads. Elderly dying because they couldn't escape. A father and son caught in the blaze. Animals dying by the hundreds of millions if not billions, and a prime minister who has the nerve to smirk in his people's faces when they are trying to convey their grief. I'm sorry for the rambling. Just been so angry and upset. Edit Chad. I have comments on other threads if anyone else is interested in donating to help our wildlife caught in the fires. Or should I say fire? It's merged into one. Fuck.